ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for taking time off your busy schedule to be with us here today at the official launch of the National Geographic Explorer Program and the Green Space Program. The purpose of these two programs is to provide a comprehensive three-step structured system of learning, awareness, and action for students from preschool to primary 6. It will be one of the most comprehensive resources available on green education for Singapore students. By starting young, we hope to nurture a generation of green Singaporeans. It is with this in mind that World Marketing Group has decided to initiate and fund this community project, that is the Green Space Program. This is in association with National Geographic Explorer. The program will help these young students to understand the world we live in better and truly treasure it. As you know, learning alone in the classroom is insufficient to spark the interest of the student. The BMG has therefore partnered with Butterfly Park and Insect Kingdoms, the NUS Faculties of Science, the Sentosa Leisure Group, the Science Centre, the Underwater World, and the Wildlife Reserve Singapore to incorporate experiential learning with classroom lessons to help students relate more to the subject of conservation. Comfort Delgro has also come in as a partner to provide transport for the outdoor activity. With the Green Space Program, the information and knowledge provided in the Explorer magazine can also be appropriately localized to suit the needs of a Singapore student.
National Geographic Explorer and the Green Space Program aims at educating our young from as young as possible. And that's, I think, fundamental as any educationist knows. If I want to change the world, I want to start with a child before the age of 7 years. Not when he's gone to school, least of all, not when he's come to me at university. I want to start with him from the cradle even if possible. And that was the case with me, with my lifelong adventure, passion, love for nature. Because I used to go down to Labrador Beach as a 6-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, I can't remember. But it was always fascinating to go down. An Asian parent will always tell you it's very dangerous to go down to the beach. You might drown, you might step on a rock, an animal might jump out and bite you, and it goes on. But yet, if you have ever grown up with nature, it becomes second nature, it becomes automatic, that you are not frightened of the unknown, and you want to explore and discover things. And that fascination from the age of 6 or 4 became a lifelong, I won't say obsession, but a lifelong journey to asking, what can I, as an individual, contribute to ensure that I have a future? I can't, as the 12-year-old said, I can't change the adult world. I can't do many things at my state of life. But surely there is something I can do at my level instead. Today's young children that grow up, they are not so fortunate as I was, because they grow up in a city, in an urban, sprawling jungle, and they are divorced from the natural elements. And this is why a program like the Geographic Explorer with the Green Space Program, a concerted effort, a platform in which you see how eminent partners have come together. Did I say something wrong? Like-minded people come together. Even the media may not realize that this may be the birth of a movement that will change the world, because when Science Centre started in 1977, very few schools supported the Science Centre for one reason: schooling was always formal. Formal education was the recognized norm of education. But you and I know that we learn best outside of the classroom. As Mark Twain says, the real learning always takes place outside the classroom. The classroom gives you the basis, the concept, but the real applications. No use to learn anything about salt in the chemistry lab. The real salt is when you taste your food, whether it's tasty or not. That's where the use of salt is. And in the same vein, Science Center, when it came on, the teachers told me, you took 1.5 hours to get to Science Center. I can't get the school bus. The children will be playing the fool. They'll be running around. They won't be learning the way we should be disciplining them to learn. But children always learn through fun. And this is what an advantage of a non-formal, structured program like the Green Space Program will allow for. To have structured, because the materials will come from authentic, authorized, and genuine materials that have been tested and used as resources, which can be adapted to the local conditions. There are very few textbooks I know today still that talk about local flora and fauna. It's always the temperate countries. And I think here we have a chance to develop our own in this respect. And whether it's marine, whether it's land, whether it's terrestrial or fresh water, it doesn't matter. And therefore, the question was always asked, were there enough steps to save the environment? And in order to do this, everybody had to be involved. And this is why partnerships like these are so critical. You may have all the resources to do one aspect, but if you can get several groups together, you have this multiplier effect. And we must start them young, as I said, because children are born curious, inquisitive, always wanting to test out things. And therefore, shaping a green generation for Singapore is a very natural catchword, which the Green Space Program uses. And I'm very glad to see that the little schoolhouse of NTUC has adopted this program, and Science Center has run the very first program under this banner for them.
And we have Joyce on your left.
Mr. Ang, Professor Tom, educators, and honored guests, partners, thank you for inviting me here today. It's a pleasure to be talking to you about the Green Space Program in partnership with some wonderful organizations and the World Marketing Group. It's something that we believe very strongly in. The National Geographic Society was founded on actually January 13th, 1888, many years ago, with the mission for the diffusion of geographic knowledge. And it started sending out explorers around the world. Actually, most of the people gathered at that table that night were already explorers who had traveled the world, and they wanted to bring the world to people. They wanted to bring the amazing discoveries that they were finding to people. And so, the Society has always been involved with education in an informal way. In less than 10 years after its founding, the National Geographic started publishing its first magazine. And one of its founders was its first editor. Coincidentally, that first magazine didn't have any photographs in it. It wasn't until many years later that they included the first photograph, and that was extremely controversial because they thought it would make it look less academic if they had photographs. Well, people actually started reading it once they put photographs in, so everything changed for them. At National Geographic Explorer, we share the mission of bringing the world, but to classrooms across the world, so that students